Welcome back to the Witch of Lupin Hollow YouTube channel. I'm Tanae, the Witch of Lupin Hollow, and I'll be your host. So today we're talking about what Capricorn season means for you. The sun spends from the winter solstice until about January 20th in Capricorn. Capricorn is an important sign because it's one of the cardinal signs, which means it begins on a solstice or equinox. So there are 4 cardinal signs, one in each element. There's Aries in fire, which kicks off the spring equinox. There's Cancer in water, which kicks off the summer solstice. There's Libra in air, which kicks off the autumn equinox. And then there's Capricorn in earth, which kicks off the winter solstice. And one thing that I love about the fact that Capricorn is the season that ushers us into the winter solstice is that Capricorn is an earth sign. It's the cardinal earth sign, which means that it's very focused on going deep, going within. It's about grounding and rooting down, really understanding our roots. Capricorn helps us to do that and helps us to experience those energies of winter in a positive way. So Capricorn is the sign of the goat, the sign of the sea goat. I love the idea that it's the sign of the sea goat though, because it's such a contradiction. This very land-loving animal, the goat, that can scale mountains and, climb anything, being a sea creature. But I think it also really speaks to an important aspect of Capricorn. So Capricorn is a feminine sign. There are 6 feminine and 6 masculine signs. And those aren't gender specific. They are more about the divine energies. So when we talk about the divine feminine, we're talking about receptive energies. We're talking about intuitive energies. And so Capricorn as an earth sign is also a feminine sign. However, Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn. So in Roman mythology, the father of Jupiter, the father of the king of the gods, was Saturn. But I think it becomes more clear when we translate it to its equivalent in Greek mythology. Zeus was the king of the gods and his father was Kronos. Kronos was a titan and he became very concerned that his children were going to overthrow him. And so he consumed all of them. He consumed his children. But Zeus's mother fed Kronos a stone and saved Zeus. And so Zeus, when he grows up, he returns and overthrows his father and saves all of his siblings. And so Kronos and Saturn really represent this very much an authority figure and in many ways a controlling figure. Capricorn, here we have this feminine earth sign being ruled by perhaps the most masculine energy that we really have in the cosmos and in mythology. And so that's very interesting, right? And so I think the concept of the sea goat, which is another, dichotomy that doesn't really make sense, is a really great representation of that we have this earth energy, we have this like Mother Earth, Gaia kind of energy, and we also have this, very authoritarian father figure energy. Capricorn is best known for ruling our career and ambitions, which is an important aspect. Capricorn does give us some insight into, what are we here to do? What are we here to accomplish? Capricorn loves tangible results and tangible data. Capricorn very much lives in the real world. Capricorn is a skeptic. But Capricorn also shows us where we value tradition. Capricorn shows us where we value groundedness and where we can ground down to, really connect to our roots. Capricorn is very powerful in showing us that. And it's also very powerful in showing us the, mother-father dichotomy. So there is an axis within the chart for every pair of signs. Every sign has an opposite. The opposite sign of Capricorn is Cancer. Cancer rules motherhood. It rules everything to do with mothers and children and home and family and many other things as well. But Cancer very much represents the divine mother, the divine feminine within the chart, versus Capricorn very much is its opposite. Capricorn represents the divine masculine, the divine father in the chart. And so this can speak to our relationship with our actual parents parents or with those figures in our life, but it can also speak to healing the divine masculine and feminine within ourselves and within our society. When we look at where Capricorn shows up in our chart, I think it's always a good idea to also look at its opposite. What is happening with Cancer? Because all of the pairs of signs balance each other out, but I think it's maybe most potent with Cancer and Capricorn. There's something about this pairing in particular that really shows us the value of balance and of having both sides. So what does Capricorn season mean for you? We want to look at where it shows up in your chart. We have all 12 signs in our chart, regardless of what your sun sign or your moon sign or any other aspect of your chart that you're familiar with is. We all have all 12 signs, which I think is a really beautiful example of how we need all aspects. We need all versions of ourselves to make the whole. So you want to look at number one, what house does it show up in? Each house is naturally ruled by a particular sign. So for example, in my own chart, I have Capricorn in the 5th house, which is naturally the house of Leo. So it's a very fiery and creative and expressive chart, which means that I have a pretty traditional and steadfast way of expressing myself. I can get kind of bogged down sometimes in academic language when I'm writing, but that element of fire and earth together is going to help me, when I really feel into that, it's going to help me balance each other out. Now, the other thing that you're going to want to look at is, do you have any planets in Capricorn? So if you don't have any planets, that's okay. That's called an empty house. And it just means that the energies of Capricorn may or may not be an important focus for you in your life. But if you do have planets there, it's going to give you some deeper insight into where this traditionalism shows up for you and also that relationship with the divine masculine. I have Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn in the 5th house. Interestingly, Uranus in Capricorn means I have an unconventional approach to tradition, and Neptune in Capricorn means that I have a very traditional approach to my spirituality, which is interesting because here I am a witch, but I think that I do have this very I like things to be neat and orderly within my practice, or I struggle to, keep up with my spiritual practice. So I think that's part of where Capricorn really shows up for me. So you want to look at what house does Capricorn show up in for you, and do you have any planets there? Then you also want to look at the 10th house. So you want to see what sign do you have in the 10th house, and do you have any planets there? Each sign naturally rules a particular house, and Capricorn naturally rules the 10th house. So you're going to have a sign in the 10th house, and that's going to show you especially information about career. So the 10th house is going to show you kind of like your ambitions and what you're accomplishing. The 10th house really gives you some insight into like what your natural state of service and delivery is. That's also going to be the most lucrative and potentially financially viable for you. Capricorn is very practical that way. So for me, I have Gemini in the 10th house. Gemini in the 10th is going to show me that, a lot of what I am here to do and share and, work on is communication. I'm supposed to talk on YouTube about things. Another thing to look at is your midheaven. So the midheaven also represents the 10th house ambitions and career energy. If you are reading in most of the house systems like Placidus or Coke, they will place the midheaven on the cusp of your 10th house, meaning that whatever sign you have in the 10th house will also be your midheaven. However, one of the things I love about the whole signs house system is that the midheaven floats. So it doesn't matter where the 10th house is, you might have your midheaven in the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. And so you get this combination of information instead of just the 10th house and the midheaven are essentially the same thing. So if you choose to read with the whole signs house system, I would encourage you to see what sign do you have in the 10th house, and does your midheaven show up somewhere else? If the midheaven still shows up in the 10th house, then, that energy is going to be amplified. But if you have it somewhere else, you may have some other aspects to you as well. So I have Gemini in the 10th house. A lot of my work and career is about communication, speaking, writing, but my midheaven is actually in Taurus in the 9th house. And so my career purpose, my life purpose to accomplish accomplish on earth is also about spirituality and practicality and making things simple about our spiritual practice, which is very much what I do here at Lupin Hollow. All of these are going to give you some information about career and ambition, but also about healing that divine masculine and feminine relationship so that you can, really achieve that inner balance. Capricorn is really part of that equation. While the sun is in Capricorn during this Capricorn season, I encourage you to investigate some of these energies to really ground down, root down into what does Capricorn mean for you. So comment on this video, tell me where Capricorn shows up for you, and make sure that you like the video as well and follow the channel so that you can be notified whenever I put out a new video. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. In fact, I will see you in the new year. Happy New Year 2020.